Welcome back to the second episode of The Soapbox with Austin Malleolo. We're going to dive in a little bit. So for those that are returning listeners, which is probably not too many of you guys, welcome back. The podcast available, I put it on my YouTube channel. It's on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all that good stuff. Just search The Soapbox with Austin Malleolo and subscribe. You should be good to go there. But had some good comments in my YouTube feed, and it's a good place to go to for some interaction. I always try to respond back to my comments there. And a question that someone sent me an email on a while back, and then they threw in the comments was, how you start a CrossFit gym? What's the startup fees? Give me some details on how to start. So I'm a huge fan of business. We will talk way more about business throughout the episodes here on the Soapbox. But let me sort of give you guys a quick and dirty soapbox on starting a CrossFit gym, starting a business in the CrossFit world and what it looks like. Little background on me, I have 3 CrossFit gyms that I own with my partners, CrossFit One Nation in 3 locations. I also run and manage the Reebok fitness facility, which is a private facility for the Reebok employees, but also it's an open business for the employees that also work in that building. So we sort of manage two arms of a business there. Also, own multiple other businesses outside of that. So by no means am I the best businessman in the world. I don't even know if I would qualify as any type of businessman or business person, but I can give you some best practices, give you some ideas and things that I've learned. Let's start with, how do you start? Well, a business plan is where you have to start. And I know this sounds sort of like antiquated, but you need to write down your plan and your goals. If you start from, why am I doing this? What's the purpose? And then what am I going to do? And then how am I going to achieve that? That's essentially a business plan. That's where you start. From there, we can get into the nitty gritty, because within a business plan, we also start to figure out, all right, where do we want a location if we're talking about our physical CrossFit gym or gym? Then from there, we start to do market research on the area. We need to have an idea of what the average rent would be. So, all right, well, based off your goal, I want to open up a CrossFit gym, and I would like it to be a place where I'm going to be a owner, operator, full-time coach, right? I don't have plans on expanding to multiple locations. I just want it to be a simple CrossFit gym. That's a goal. And that's important, because it's going to be a lot different than if you want to open up multiple locations, or you want to have all these different type of modalities that you offer at your gym. So you're going to say, okay, I want to open up an operation where I'm going to have a goal would be to have around 5,000 square feet. Got it. I'm going to be the main operator, the main coach. I'm going to coach the majority of the classes. The goal is to, over time, grow the membership where I can maybe bring on another full-time person and a couple part-time people. But, in the beginning, this is going to be my sole profession. Got it. Now we have a goal. Our goal is relatively clear from the sense of business expansion. It's not super clear from specifics. You want to get into that. You want to use almost SMART goals, specific and measurable and time-bound and actionable and all those things. But once you have that understanding, it's a simple math equation, right? It's like, okay, well, average price per square foot, let's just, simple math is $10. $10 a square foot. Plus, you also need to, put into their common area maintenance, tripled net, whatever that might be. So maybe it nets out to be, $13 a square foot, times 5,000 per month. There's your rent fee, right? So there's your one big line item of expense, and just making sure that you do that math appropriately, and that, there's some sort of, I would always round up a little bit as opposed to round down. That's going to be your one big main expense. Then from there, you're going to want to take into account any other expenses. There's other expenses from your affiliation fee, which is going to be $3,000 a year, to, whether if there's, you can put in, it depends on your lease, utilities. So, you have to map that out, whether it's electric, water, things like that, trash, just basic utilities that run the space. You need to map that out. Then Once we map that out, we then start to dive into personnel costs, which is going to be your second big expense from sort of run just a facility to run a business. That's going to be in the beginning mostly you, but you might have to have someone else. So your personnel costs are going to be relatively low. But what you can do is say, all right, well, how many classes a week am I going to coach? How many classes a week am I going to have? So I'm going to have 3 in the morning, 1 midday, and 3 at night. Maybe that's where you're going to start. So you have 7 classes. What's going to be your hourly rate per class? Well, so therefore you need to have some sort of payroll structure. At our gym we do level 1s have X fee, and then at level 2, level 3, and then seminar staff all go up by $5 an hour. So we always equate everyone's going to be at the highest level just because you need to budget for that. So that's another simple math equation of, all right, well, that's how many classes I need coached. In theory, this is what it would cost to cover that. Right? If you're coaching every class, that money would go to you. Right? If not, it would go to somebody else. So you can have that and budget it in to your business because it needs to be able to support that no matter what. Now, that's just your operating costs. It's not your startup costs. But now once we have that, we have an idea of what it's going to take to actually run the business. So now what we do is we then pull back into membership. All right, well, what's going to be your average membership fee? Average, okay? So now in your business plan, we're going to map out, all right, we're going to do an unlimited membership. We're going to do a 3-day-a-week membership, whatever it might be. $200 a month for unlimited, $185 for three times a week. And let's just say you're going to have a couple discounts that bring, for military, for whomever it might be, that might bring it down to $175 or $165. You're going to run maybe a promo in the beginning. That's maybe $150. So you're going to average it out. Average your cost per your value per member. And that gives you a better idea. You're never going to have 200 members at $200 a month just because of the nature of that beast. So now you can have an understanding of, well, how many members is it for you to break even on your operating costs, make a profit, so on and so forth. That's just simple math equation. 50 members at average membership cost, blah, 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 blah. 75, 100, so on and so forth. Now, once we have that, we have a rough understanding of what our goals are. Now we need startup costs. Startup costs are going to be important because you now, in a perfect world, you have a 5,000 square foot facility. There's going to need some level of build out. Very rarely do you just walk into a facility and say, boom, it's ready to rock. So that's the first step there. So whether you need a general contractor to come in, whether you have that skill set, but giving that person or yourself that vision of what you want the space to look like from where it currently is, that's important. Budget X amount of dollars for that. So I would say a good safe bet is to budget $50,000 for just the build out. Okay, so you have $50,000 for the build out. Now that's low. That means we're probably not doing any massive bathroom renovations or anything like that. Just might be, some walls, some demolition, some cleaning up, some water fountains, things like that. But if you're going to be going into much more than that, like if you're going to be trenching to bathrooms, adding more stalls, whatever it is, we're looking at about $100K to $150K. It also depends on your negotiations with your lease. You could always say, hey, if we're going to take the space, you're going to put the space the way we want it. Every negotiation's different. Obviously, get as much as you can from your landlord, but it's also leverage points. If the space has been empty for 2 years and they need something, you have more leverage than if there's a lot of bidders for it. So again, it's going to be very unique to that location, the area, and a few other variables. So then the next step is to price out your equipment. In a 5,000 square foot gym, you're not going to have so much equipment, but I think a good safe bet is between $20,000 and $30,000 for your equipment. This is going to include flooring, include your rig, all of that stuff. Okay. Again, this is creating a nice facility. This is not creating a facility that just gets by. If you want what's the minimum, quite frankly, I'm not super interested in that. I'm not interested in, let's just open up a bare minimum. That's really easy, right? Find 1,000 square foot space, get some equipment, and tell people to show up. If you want to do that, go ahead. But if you're going to really start a business, we got to do it right. Nowadays, we're competing against, these beautiful gyms that have a lot of capital. So your locker rooms need to be nice. Your flooring needs to be nice. Your equipment needs to be top notch. So now that brings me to my next portion is sort of other startup fees. Membership management software, some sort of TV or computer. You have to get your facilities step, whether you need your toiletries, your toilet paper, all of those little things. And I would say, when it's all said and done, maybe 5,000 is a fair number. Maybe 10,000, depending on, again, the size of the space. But with a gym like this, all you need is one little computer, check-in screen, iPads for people to sign in, however you choose to do that. So if we think about your startup fees, okay, 50,000 for the build out, say 20,000 for your equipment, and another 10 for other expenses. So now we're at 80,000 to start up. That's just startup fees on top of our operating expenses, which is going to be our rent, utilities, common area maintenance fees. So how much money do you need in the bank to start a CrossFit gym? I would say that you probably need $100K to start. It's smart to have enough money to float the business for 3 to 6 months without positive cash flow. Every gym that I've opened, we've been able to actually have break even on operating expenses by the day we opened. That's another topic for another episode. Hopefully we can dive into that. But we don't start with the assumption is we're going to open up break even. No, you have to work really hard and chips need to fall in the right place. And we were lucky enough to do that with myself and my business partners really putting the time in to do it. But you need to be able to account to have enough money in the bank to make payroll if you're not the only one coaching, or just pay your bills, rent, utilities, so on and so forth. 3 to 6 months. So $100K should get you there. And I would say that at that space of a gym, if you're looking to get 10,000 square foot, double it, then maybe now we're talking double it, 100K. It can be that, or 200K. And that's really what we've seen consistently across the board. Now, obviously, it's very specific to where you live, rent, all those other things. So you can just adjust that percentage appropriately depending on, these mock numbers, not drawn to scale at all. So if you want to open up a gym, hey, you need to have some sort of money in the bank. Yes, it is not like it was 10 years ago. You do need to have quality. Therefore, you have to spend a little more money. But hopefully this gives some insight to what that looks like. I have some mock P&L stuff. I have a little a business online class that's in the works as well for you guys out there. Really, it's very basic and simple stuff, but how to manage a P&L, create a P&L, how to create a business plan based off a couple variables and thoughts that we need to have. So that's going to come down the pipeline soon. And essentially what it looks like, it's going to show you a few examples of what a business plan looks like, what different types of profit and loss statements look like based off different types of expenses and also revenues coming in, and then you're going to create one on your own. So that is to allow you to properly plan. I always tell everyone, what I want you to do is actually find every reason not to open up a business or your gym, and if after that conversation with yourself and that drill, you still I still want to do this, then now it's time to start. But things you need to understand beyond the money investment, it's going to take up a lot of time. You're not going to get rich here. There's a lot of people out there touting that, it's like, you got to pay yourself well, you got to be able to go on vacation, all that stuff. Be careful listening to people that don't walk the walk. Be careful listening to people that don't actually live that lifestyle. Many people that say that have multiple areas of revenue streams that allow them to do that fun, sexy stuff. If all you're doing is running a gym, let me tell you, this business plan is super simple. The business model is super simple, and your growth is limited. yes, if you want to massively diversify into personal training, into other avenues, that's diversifying revenue streams, which means, yes, you have more opportunity. Unfortunately, in our world of coaching and running gyms, your time is directly tied to your money. So if you are making 50 to 60 to 70K in personals and you're making, 40 to 50K in salary at coaching at your gym, which is great, but your money is directly tied to your time, which is a problem as you progress in life. Because what I've noticed and when I've talked to with people in consulting is, well, I want more time back. How do I do that? And oftentimes, this is where businesses struggle and start to fail, is they start to outsource their coaching responsibilities to others. Therefore, you have to have your payroll increases, because what do you want to do as an owner, as an operator? Well, I want to still take in the money. But in order to do that, you need to be taking in more money. And unfortunately, if you are an affiliate or a CrossFit gym that has a relatively simple but effective business model, there's a ceiling to how much money you can make in any business, specifically when it's tied to how many members you have in your space. Just a simple math equation. You have to keep this stuff in mind. So I hope that this, I don't want to dissuade you, but I want you to really, really dig into this business plan. And then I want you to look at your projections and be realistic with your time investment there. Then we can understand if we want to do it. So I really hope that this helps, and I hope that this gives you an idea of what that looks like. But the business planning course that we're coming out with is going to really help you guys. It's super simple, but again, like I've said, I struggle to feel like, oh, everyone knows this, but I don't think everyone knows this. So I'm gonna give this out, and hopefully you find some value in it. This was under 20 minutes of how to start a CrossFit gym, a gym in general, a small boutique gym. I do think that I'm going to do in a following episode is sort of like some tips, some sort of actionables, some shotgun stuff. But hopefully we find this helpful, and hit me up with questions in the comments. But again, in summary, you got to have a plan, got to understand your P&L. You have startup costs, you have operating costs. Then you have revenue coming in, which for the most part is relatively simple. Keep it simple. Memberships. Don't count on other things. Those will come over time, but let memberships be the core of your revenue coming in. It'll give you a good idea of your growth expectations, your growth model, and then obviously you marry that with your gross income versus your expenses, and you would get this net, which is a number that it's not going to be earth-shattering, but you're going to make a wonderful living, but you're going to work for it. And who would have thought that's not a bad way to live life if that's something you want to do? But you're not going to have recurring revenue without putting time investment in if you're running an affiliate. Right. So again, guys, thank you for listening. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the process. I'm loving this stuff. Literally get on a soapbox, and I try to get off at under 20 or 30 minutes or so. Again, the soapbox with Austin Malleolo. Subscribe. Let me know if you have questions. Hit me up, and have a great day, guys.